Okay, we are live. Thanks everybody for joining us on another edition of our Rising Coaches Member Spotlight. And today we are joined by Ben Sanders and Veronica Ryan. And we're starting off with Veronica. Hello, Veronica.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Where are you coming at it? Is this your office? It looks like you're in a locker room office.
No, I'm in my office. It's my office.
Oh, okay. I saw the paper towels in the background.
I have my own bathroom, so I'm pretty legit in my office.
That is big time. Yeah. I don't think I've ever achieved that status in my career.
Yeah.
Private bathroom.
Pretty big time.
Do you allow other people to use it or no? Is it like?
I don't know if they want to. It's not the best quality of a bathroom, but I don't usually broadcast that part. So
I got you. Well, this is not what people are tuning in to hear about. They're tuning in to hear about you and your career. So, Veronica, give us. Obviously, you and I go way back.
For sure.
Years and years. Worked for your dad, the legend, Tim Ryan. But for those watching, tell everybody about how you got into hoops and your career in basketball, your extra long playing career in basketball, and how you ultimately got into coaching.
Sure. So I didn't have the typical career path, and I guess everybody says that, but I started playing basketball when I was really young. I come from a basketball family, like you mentioned. My dad coaches junior college. My mom played Division I, sister played Division I. All the kids played basketball growing up. So I just knew I was going Division I at a really young age. My senior year, I wasn't getting those Division I looks, so I was going to open gyms at some D1 schools. And I ended up having a really bad injury. I tore my ACL, LCL, broke my fibula. Basically everything you can break, it was broken. So after my senior year, I had to take a year off to rehab that. And then I got a chance to play at Daytona State. I got a scholarship offer there. So I went to Daytona State. And then when I got there, you got to do the yearly physicals before you can start. And the doctor was like, absolutely not. My leg, my first injury, because it was so bad and I broke my fibula, they made me sit out for 6 weeks before I could even have surgery. So I was gimping around on one leg and then having surgery. So it got a lot smaller. So long story short, that year at Daytona State, I didn't get to play. So that's now 2 years out of high school. I haven't played. So I then signed a scholarship to Palm Beach State, another junior college in Florida. And 2 weeks before I'm supposed to go there, I tear my other ACL. So now I'm 3 years out, haven't played any basketball yet. But thankfully, Coach Rufo at the time at Palm Beach State granted my scholarship for the next year. So 3 years out now, and I get to finally play my first season.
Hey, were you during that 3-year period? Were you I'm sure you had moments where you're like, "That's it, I gotta throw."
Yeah, depressed. I probably weighed 90 pounds before that happened, and then I dropped to 60 because it was just terrible. But I just knew I always wanted to play basketball. I couldn't identify, and not just play basketball. I had ambitions to play D1, so going the JUCO route was considered a setback, but I knew, that's what I wanted to do. So I was super thankful to go to Palm Beach, and we were really successful there. We were 26 and 7 or something I don't know. We were good. I got some accolades there, and then I got to go on and play D1 at Nicholls State.
Accolades. You got a banner there, right?
I do have a banner, yeah.
Were you academic All-American or All-American?
Yeah, academic All-American.
Yeah, I know. I was in that gym recruiting a couple years ago and sent you a picture of
yeah. Everybody who goes to that gym, I could probably have a thing on my phone just of random pictures of that because people will send it to me when they go in there.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Then I did get to go and play. I chose Nicholls State, went there for a year, and I knew after the 1 year, because my time clock at Division I was going to eventually wind out. Instead of applying for a 6 year, I just went to Georgia College, which is a Division II in the Peach Belt. Ended up being a great experience for me. They modified practices and all that stuff for me. So basically, long story short, I had 6 knee surgeries and my playing career lasted 7 years. So that's how I decided to get into coaching. I thought I was going to play forever and go overseas. But when you're out and away from the game and can't be on the court, you really learn about the game in a different way. So it's how it keeps me connected. And then getting into coaching after I graduated Georgia College. My dad, like I said, is a junior college coach. And at first he was like, let me help you. Let me call these people. And I was like, no, I'm going to do it by myself. You don't call anybody. And then like towards the end, I was like, hey, dad, here's a list of 50 people. You think you could call them for me? So I ended up actually coaching at the same school. My dad was at College of Central Florida under Coach Tommy Jones. I was there for 2 years, and then one of our kids at College of Central Florida was being recruited by University of West Alabama, and I just had a really good phone call with the coach, and that led to a job here. So that's how I'm here.
Awesome. So before the injuries, like growing up with your dad being a coach, like was that ever in the back of your mind, or like no way, like you were never going to coach?
I don't know if it was no way. It's not like, oh, I can't stand that guy, but everything about me was playing. Like I was that like loser kid that didn't go to parties or didn't do anything. I went and was playing basketball. So I just always thought playing, but it wasn't until I got hurt that's where it kind of led me.
I got you. So 6 knee surgeries, 7 years of playing, like of a college playing career.
Yeah.
How many schools? 6 schools? 5 schools?
If you count Daytona State, I didn't ever play there, so I really say 3.
Okay.
Nichols, and then Georgia College.
Okay. So do you like use that experience a lot with your players when they're dealing with injuries? Do you like tell them, like, how many of your players know the full story?
A couple of them. I try not to really like talk about myself, when it comes to that stuff, but I will with the ones that have been injured. I think it definitely gives me, some perspective, because I know what that's like to be there. You don't, get that same chemistry when you're not on the court with the rest of the girls and stuff. You can feel alone. So I think it definitely helps me with that. It might also make me kind of more tough on the ones that are like, Coach, I need a Band-Aid for this scratch. And I'm like, get back out there, but it comes in handy.
What was it like coaching? Obviously your dad coached on the men's side and you were on the women's side at Central Florida, but what was it like coaching, not with your dad, but around your dad, working at the same small athletic department and, things like that?
Yeah, no, it was a really neat experience. Like I said, I was kind of not prideful, maybe it's the wrong word, but I kind of wanted to like separate myself from him so much. And now that I don't work there and it is different, you kind of wish you can get some of that back. It was really nice to live. I was blessed to live in the same town with my family doing what I love to do. So it was a really neat experience, but I do love where I'm at here as well.
Okay. So what was it like getting, to West Alabama and, I don't know, just how was that whole experience in transition to a new school, new city, new state, all of that stuff, and just kind of put that in?
Yeah, it was a culture shock. I went from living in Pinellas County, which I think is like 200,000 people. It's a lot of people. Then living in Marion County, which I thought was in the middle of nowhere. There were 60,000 people. And now I'm in Livingston, Alabama, where there's 3,000 people. So it was definitely a culture shock. But like I said, kind of before, with me being a nerd and everything always being about basketball, when season time hits, it's basketball. So it's not really, too much of a hard transition. It's kind of just like when you have downtime is when you realize like, what the heck? Like, where am I?
Yeah, well, you've had a ton of downtime, I imagine, the last few months.
Yeah, it's been kind of crazy.
Are your athletes on campus or no?
They're coming to campus now. This actual week is when they're moving in, and we just found out this morning actually that our season is going to be postponed until January as of right now. So we're kind of in shock, kind of trying to figure everything out right now as far as what a preseason will look like and all that.
So what have you done, throughout the summer? You mentioned like the culture shock of being in a small town, and you get, obviously we get hit with a global pandemic. So your athletes aren't there. I'm sure it's like not a ton of work going on in the office. So what did you kind of do during that time?
Man, Well, we still try to just act as if everything was like full go and we were going to have a full season, and just, you can look it up. We didn't have a great season last year, so we were still kind of really working hard. And I'm kind of in charge of recruiting and putting our offenses together. So I was still kind of just gung ho doing that. A lot of Zoom calls. And working out. Shoot, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm looking like the Hulk over here with all my downtime I've had. And then actually just recently, Jake Zender, the men's coach at Francis Marion, he like put my Photoshop game on the map. So I'm like learning how to do those graphics, and that's big because I was kind of sleeping on that. But that's pretty much been my summer, my off season.
Yeah, really good. Anytime you can add like Photoshop to your like toolbox as a coach.
Yeah, for sure. And he's the man, so he's really been helpful with that.
For sure, absolutely. Okay, so what's the plan? Do you guys? I mean, I guess you just found out that your season's being postponed.
Yeah.
What's the plan? You got your girls coming back. What are you guys gonna do for the next few months?
Man, cow tipping. I don't know. I'm just kidding. We'll probably get in the next couple of days what we can do for like our Kara hours and volunteer hours and things like that, for when we can kind of get hands on. But right now we're just kind of in wait mode, until we get like that information.
Gotcha. Okay. What advice would you give to somebody, Veronica, that wants to like transition into coaching? Or just somebody that's in coaching, like what's the best thing that you've learned in your, how many years now? 3, 4 years?
Yep, 3.
3 years, yeah.
Oh, that's a tough question because there's so much that you can say, especially like coming into it before you like think you know stuff and you don't, or how it's going to go. But I guess the biggest thing is I kind of went through this when I was at College of Central Florida, because when you first start out, a lot of times you have to take jobs that where you're not making great money, or it's like kind of a struggle even to be surviving or living, and you're not kind of like where you want to be. And just like doing a great job where you are, I think is really important. Obviously, you need connections and you need to network. All that stuff is important. But if you can be like super invested where you are, that good work that you're doing is going to be noticed, and that's kind of going to help propel you forward.
I love it. Good stuff. All right, Veronica, give us a good book or podcast recommendation.
Oh, man. Okay, this isn't really a podcast, but I'm going to be the plug. My girl, Shantiana Keys, is like a YouTube /podcast / whatever you want to call it specialist. She works for the WBCA. And if you type in like Major Keys in YouTube, she has all these special guests and women in sports. And they talk about sports. They talk about life issues and things going on. So that's definitely my favorite thing right now.
Major Keys. All right. Check it out. I love it. Cool. All right, Veronica, anything else that you want people to know about you? Oh, wait. Before we get to that, I forgot to ask you. I asked everybody. Okay. Give us the scouting report on you as a player.
Pre-op or post-op?
Give me both.
Okay. Pre-op, it was make her score because I was the point guard that wanted to like pass the ball to everyone. Post-op, it was don't let her shoot.
So you definitely developed a jump shot.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could shoot before, but I couldn't move after 6 knee surgery. So that was my thing. Stand there, shoot it.
You're like Robert Horry at the end of his career.
That's me.
I love it. All right, cool. Veronica, great job. I appreciate you being on here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to now bring in Ben. Hello, Ben.
What's up, Adam?
How are you?
I'm doing well, man.
Anything you want to add before we let Veronica go? Any questions for her or anything like that? Or putting you on the spot, man.
No, yeah, you definitely put me on the spot. I'm not as good at this as you are, Adam. I'm not an interviewer yet.
All good. Veronica, well done. We appreciate you being on here. And
Thank
look
you.
forward to seeing what's next from you.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. Ben, what's up?
Man, every day's looking the same these days. Nothing new right now.
I know. Life is hard for a G League coach, right?
Oh, man. Let's hope I'm still a G League coach. Well, I'll be interested to see if there's a season, when there's a season. I'm just trying to stay busy and stay productive until I know.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into that in a little bit, but first take us back to the beginning, Ben. Like, tell us a little bit. Obviously, we go way back too, so You know, I kind of know your story, but I know your career stops, but I don't know your background before getting into it. So
I grew up with two older brothers, so we were always like sports people. And my oldest brother, Matt, he's 8 years older than me. He was a big basketball guy, so he always got me interested in basketball. He was actually one of my assistant coaches in high school for a year, my junior year of high school. So that was kind of interesting. And because I saw him doing that and doing it well, I knew I wanted to coach. So when I was thinking about college, I was like, well, what's the best thing for a coaching career? Do I play at a D3 or do I try to be a manager at a D1? So when I was trying to decide, it was down to try and be a manager at Kansas or play Division III, and I ended up at Southwestern University just outside of Austin, where I grew up. And I'm so thankful I played. It was a big time experience for me.
All right, Ben, give us a scouting report.
Man, I was so unimpressive. I was just an average player. Like,
what position, first of all?
I was kind of a 3-4. We played Princeton offense, so we were 4 out, 1 in. I got to do a little bit of everything. I was not a confident shooter in college. I don't know what it was. I think I was a little too willing to take a back seat to some of my to some of the bigger personalities on the team and maybe more aggressive scorers. So I was a good passer, rebounder, defender. My coach told me one time, this was a huge compliment to me. He said, one thing about you, Ben, that I really appreciate is you get it. You understand how to be a great teammate. And I was like, all right, so you don't think I'm much of a scorer or anything. But I'll take it, man. Like, I think it's a skill set, knowing how to be a great teammate. So
glue guy.
Yeah, it's definitely that.
If you had to go back and do it all over again, you would definitely jack way more shots.
Oh, I would have been getting them up, man. Like, I was a shooter in high school. I shot like 45% from 3 in high school. And then I got to college, and I was too willing to take a back seat. We had 6 seniors when I was a freshman that were all like had taken the program to the next level. And there were like 6 or 7 dudes in the class ahead of me who were really good. One went and played in Europe for a handful of years. And so I was way too passive, man. Then I get into, I start coaching, and every time I play pickup, I just jack that thing. And
making it up for a while.
Yeah, even now in practice, my players are kind of surprised as I sit in the corner and just wait patiently in buckets.
I love it. Okay, so you played Division III basketball for 4 years, and then what?
I actually went and lived in Spain for a year. I taught English over there. I just didn't want to start a career immediately because I knew coaching was what I wanted to do, and I knew I'd hopefully be doing it for like 40 years. So I went and lived in Spain. I was a Spanish minor in college. Wanted to become fluent, and then I hung out over there, and I actually played in like a local provincial league, nothing professional, but it was fun to travel around our province in Spain and play local ball and get called for travels once or twice a game because the rules were different. And so after that, I came back. I got my first job as a D3 assistant, Alfred University in Western New York. I did that for 2 years. Decided I want to try and kind of wanted to make the jump to Division I. That's when I ended up at Rice. I was a volunteer the first year. Got my start with Adam Gerlach and Adam Cohen and those guys. Second year, I luckily got promoted to video coordinator. That's when you and I met. You can tell that story someday if you want to. And then after we got fired there, 3 years at New Mexico as video coordinator, got fired there. And at that point, I knew kind of recruiting was the thing that was holding me back. And so I actually went to Australia for 2 months trying to build a recruiting network. And that fell through. And I was like, forget this recruiting thing. I don't really want to do this. And so I started seeking out every opportunity I could to work at the professional level. And that's when I ended up with RGV, which is Houston's G League team. I was with them for 1 year, and next year was in Chicago. kind of a video role with the Windy City Bulls, and then got promoted to assistant just before last season. So,
yeah, amazing. Okay, lots of questions for you. First of all, how did you get the D3, like that first assistant job at, what was it, Alfred College in New York?
Alfred University. I think I found it on Hoop Dirt. I think I was looking at everything on Hoop Dirt and just throwing my name at every possible opening.
Just a random, like, no connection, just random.
Yeah, I was kind of looking at things that I thought maybe were attainable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what made me stand out in that job was, first off, it was late in the process. It was probably August or late July. And because I had played in the Princeton offense, and that's what this head coach was running, it kind of gave me a leg up, maybe. And I didn't know at the time how fortunate I was to be working for that coach. His name's Dale Wellman. He has since won a national championship at the Division III level at Nebraska Wesleyan. He's a really good coach. And I wish that I had been more aware of how little I knew and how much he knew, because he was great, and that was a real positive experience.
It's always like super fortunate when you get people like that as mentors early, like really, really early in your career.
Oh,
when
absolutely.
you go work for anybody, you know, you just need an opportunity, and you end up with a guy like that. Okay, and then you go volunteer at Rice because you wanted to, you know, coach at the highest level. How, like, do you recommend that to people that want to get into coaching and they talk, you know, they hit you up, whatever? You say like, hey, you just gotta like figure it out. You're not gonna make any money. Go volunteer somewhere. I mean, it obviously worked out for you, but
yeah, it really worked out for me twice, because Rice, and then my first year in the G League, I was getting paid, like I was getting housing, and that was it. I do, on one hand, I recommend it. I think sometimes it's just what you got to do, right? But I also hate that that's like the way we do this in our business, and really in most businesses. I hate that unpaid internships are a thing. Like, I think it creates such a barrier to entry for a number of people who grow up with maybe a less financial security, right? Like if I had come out of college with any kind of debt, student debt, I'm not where I am right now. Like, I couldn't have taken the awful pay that I did the first few years of coaching. Even at Rice, that year that I volunteered, I was staying at my aunt and uncle's house. Luckily, they live like 2 miles from Rice's campus, and without their support, I don't know if I'm able to do that. So I guess I recommend it for those who are capable, but like for employers, stop doing that. Like, find ways to help your guys out. Like, find ways to help people pay the bills and get a start without having to delay the money years and years down the line. Like,
yeah,
I think we can find better ways to support young coaches and help them get in this business.
no doubt. It is total bullshit. And I don't know that it is other. Do you think it's other businesses too? Like, I feel like it's definitely coaching.
I know for a fact it's coaching. That's the only one I can speak to very confidently. But I know there are other industries that it's the same deal. Anything that has an unpaid internship is crap. Like, especially there's some massive corporations out there. We don't have to get into that, but like, I just know we need to be taking care of people who come from.
Let's get into it. Why not?
Like, I don't know. I've been talking about this with Sergio Santa Maria recently, and just like, how can we help young coaches, and for him, young analytics guys, like, how can we help them get a start without having to break the bank? I've seen guys get out of this business because they don't make any money the first like 4 or 5 years that they're doing it.
Yeah,
and
4 or 5 years, that's pretty good. Like,
that's on the low end, right? Like,
yeah.
I'm 10 years in. I haven't made a lot. My best paycheck was when I was at New Mexico, and running camps played a big role in that as well. So I'm thankful that I've had the support that I've had, but I hate that volunteering is like the way in for a non-player, you know?
I know. But at the same time, like if you're really wanting to get into coaching, like that's kind of what you have to do.
Yeah, you do. And like, I mean, it worked great for me. It got me in at the Division I level when Division I was like the dream. I was like, holy cow, I'm working Division I basketball. Let's go. And then I was like, screw it. I want to try the pro level. And same deal, volunteered and it worked out for me. So if you can do it, do it. But as established coaches, like we gotta do a better job of helping the young kids and create opportunities that don't require not paying the bills, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned two legends that you worked with at Rice, Adam Gearlock and Adam Cohen. You have been lucky to work with like some great people along the way.
Man, the list is long of people that I really appreciate having worked for. Rice, Adam Gearlock was tough on me. He was real tough on me, but he taught me early like what hard work looks like and what attention to detail looks like. Adam Cohen was there too. He was great. And the next year, the first year, I also had Gus Arginal, who is one of my favorite people I've ever worked with. Brian Eskelton, I can say the same thing. And I learned from Ben Braun and Louis Reynaud, who'd been in the business for a million years. Like Ben Braun had 600 plus wins before he was at Rice. Like the dude's experienced, and he was great for me. And then at New Mexico, Noodles was like, man, he was hard on me. He held me accountable and made sure I was paying attention to detail. I love the assistant coaches I worked with there. Alan Huss, Terrence Rencher. Those guys were incredible. They're both at Creighton now, killing it. I think Alan Huss is one of the best assistants in the business, and Terrence Wrench is the funniest guy I've ever met in my life. So I was lucky to work with those guys.
Yeah, what was New Mexico like? Like that, their fan experience looks amazing on TV. I've never been there.
So it's big time because the way Noodles would describe it, and I think it's fairly accurate, is like New Mexico basketball is like the Lakers of that state. Like that program is front and center for everything in that state. You're under scrutiny all the time. You're a massive fish in a real small pond. Like New Mexico's population is smaller than Houston, but everybody's obsessed with New Mexico basketball. I think sometimes that can be toxic if you're not doing well. We didn't live up to the bar had been raised really high right before I got there. 3 consecutive NCAA tournaments. We're like number 7 in the country at one point, I think. Just silly high standards, and we didn't live up to it. And man, it wasn't fun. Like they held us to task.
Sure.
But when things are rocking, man, they fill that joint. It's the Pit is a great venue. I don't ever need to go back there. Like I just have like stress related trauma from my time there. I was so stressed all the time. It's funny how once I got to the G League level, man, life mellowed out, and even though there was still just as much hard work to be done, there's just a different level of stress. There was a lot less like self-preservation going on once I got to RGV.
Yeah, so I had a similar deal, working at Clemson and also at Mississippi State, where you are definitely like in the spotlight and people are very aware of what's going on in your program, and there's that pressure. And when you're losing games, you like don't want to go out to eat. You want to like hole up in your apartment or whatever. And then I got to SEMO and it was like, oh, no one cares. No one gives a shit what we do. This was amazing.
Yeah, it's funny when we'd go out, we would never ever tell anybody we worked for Lobo basketball. We'd be like, yeah, I work in oil and gas, or like, because you just didn't know what could come up. Like you just never knew who was watching, who was paying attention. It was I'd rather not give that out and let people judge me all the time. So it was a blessing and a curse to have that support and that criticism.
And by the way, I should just say, I apologize. SEMO Nation, the SEMO fans are great there. They do care, but it's a different level going from like New Mexico, Mississippi State, Clemson to like a program where you're not on national TV. It's not on every radio station you turn on.
For sure.
Apologies to the Red Hawks.
It also helped when I got to RGV. I was working for Matt Brazzi, who was like one of the most laid back dudes ever. Like his leadership style is super empowering. It's, hey, I need you to get this done. I'm going to trust you to get it. You know, you kind of get to the point where you're not scared of being yelled at by anybody. Like if you screw up, you're not going to get yelled at. But you know, Brazzi's one of my boys now. Luckily, all the guys I've worked with at the G League level are guys that I'm going to have lifelong friendships with. And when you are working for guys like that, it's so much about like, man, I don't want to let him down. I want to help him succeed. I want to help our players succeed. And I think that's a healthier approach to your job professionally. It's just like, hey, I really want to kick ass at this for everybody involved because they deserve my best effort. And I want to see them succeed. And if we all have that mentality, we're all going to lift each other up and do well.
No question. So do you think that has more to do with the leadership style of Matt Brazzi and the people you work with at the pro level, or is some of it like the difference between coaching college and coaching professional?
I think it's a little bit of both. I do think there's a different culture at the professional level. At least in the G League and NBA. And I think it comes from coaches don't have the same kind of stability or hierarchy over players, you know? At the pro level, you got to know how to effectively communicate with players. You got to know how to build relationships. You know, take Houston, for example. If it's between D'Antoni and James Harden, we know D'Antoni's out and James Harden's all good, right? So D'Antoni's got to be really good with James, and that relationship has to be really strong. It's not like at the college level where you don't like a kid, you run him off, and the head coach is there for a few more years. I think.
Sorry, I was just going to ask you, like, so what does that do to like the office culture and just the culture amongst the coaching staff?
Well, I think because you're teaching your players, or like you're treating your players that way, I think you're treating staff that way a lot more as well. I think, and maybe I've just been blessed at the pro level to be around great guys who they treat everybody with dignity and respect. And that doesn't mean they don't hold you accountable. Jim Boylan holds us accountable, and you know, if you let him down, he's gonna firmly tell you like, hey, I need you to do better. You got to do this better, right? But he's not going to yell at you and belittle you or anything like that. And I just think at the college level, like we put head coaches on a pedestal a bit, and they're able to treat anybody the way they want and get away with it. And obviously, that's not everybody. There's a million college coaches who are great about that, and they use that position very responsibly and treat people great. But I do think that having to really have that that relationship with players rubs off on the way you treat the rest of your staff.
That's awesome. Speaking of that transition and the difference between like coaching college and professional, I remember like after you guys got let go in New Mexico, I remember that off season, how stressed you were trying to find something and going to Australia, and you know that thing fell through, and you were kind of scrambling looking for something. And then you got your opportunity at RGV, and I saw you again the following May for the retreat, the Rising Coaches Retreat, which I think that year was that the one in Nashville?
I think that was Orlando. Yeah, it was Nashville.
Nashville. So, all right, I've talked about this before, but anytime someone goes into like coaching professional basketball, the next time I see them, it's like they've been to the Matrix, like they've taken the blue pill or whatever. I don't know, the red pill. I don't know. But they just like have this whole nother level of understanding of the game of basketball. And like, I feel like I'm pretty good X's and O's, but anyone that coaches pro basketball is that like, I just know they're at a higher level than I am. And So did you like experience that? Was it like what was your first year like at RGV? Was it like you just instantly get thrown into the deep end and it's like drinking from a fire hose, or?
Well, a little bit. Like, it's interesting. I was with Cody Toppert for like 3 days. He was actually kind of instrumental to helping me get on an RGV. And then, like, literally we get down there and 3 days later he's got an interview with the Northern Arizona Suns for head coach. So, like, anybody who's been around Cody Toppert, which I know you've listened to him speak a number of times, Cody is so brilliant, and he's just like throwing bits of information at me, and I was like, oh man, like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. But I'd say about a month in, it was like, all right, no, it's cool. I understand what we're doing here. The guys I worked with were lifting each other up. Like, that's I think we get to I think every program likes to preach family, right? Like, we're family. Probably got a hashtag on your shirt that says family or whatever, right? That's the closest I've ever had to that. We're like, we were tight, and it was a super positive environment. It was lifting everybody up. It was Brazi, Joseph Blair, Mahmoud, Abdel Fattah, and Safa Kamalian were kind of our core group of guys. And man, like, you could learn something from everybody. Everybody's lifting each other up. And, like, to this day, those guys are my brothers. Like, and I think because we had that environment, that positivity, it was easier to, like, help each other out on that learning curve. Because I know Mahmoud had it too a little bit, where at first you're trying to just pick up everything they're throwing at you. But it was probably a month in that I was like, all right, I can do this. This isn't as intimidating as I thought it would be. Things are actually good. Like, I saw my confidence kind of shift. Like, you know what, I can do this. I can do this at this level for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Part of it too is probably like the G League level. I think is probably, I'm just guessing here because I've never coached there. It's probably similar to like JUCO. Like, the bonds are so much tighter because everyone's trying to get out, right? Everyone's trying to level up. The players, the coaches, like, there's something about my JUCO years that, like, those were the closest relationships I've ever had in coaching, with the players, with the assist, everybody. You think that's like
I think that can play a role if you embrace it. It's funny, Damian Cotter, who was our head coach in Windy City this last year, he did a phenomenal job. I learned a ton from him. And on the first day, he's like, all right, who wants to be in the G League next year? Anybody? And, like, of course, nobody raises their hand, right? And it's like, exactly, we all either want to be in the NBA or we want to go make hella money overseas. Even the coaches are trying to move up, right? But the best way we can go about that, the best way we can set ourselves up for success at the next level, is if we're all in this together and lifting each other up. If we're not doing that, like, if I put my future over the current success of this team, then I could end up kind of rocking the boat and derailing us a little bit. Whereas if we all buy into, like, let's all do well right here, right now, then we'll be lifting each other up and preparing each other for the next opportunity.
Absolutely.
And we did not win a ton of games this year. We were below 500. But as a coaching staff, we really embrace, like, every single day, we got to do something to help prepare these guys for the next level. Whether it's the NBA or overseas, like, we got to every single day be helping them. And I think players can see right away if you care about their future or not. And if you are invested in their future, then their buy-in is going to be higher. Even if you're losing games, they realize, like, oh, I got to keep doing this, and I got to keep being great so that I can get my next job and make some money in the next spot. You know what I mean?
For sure. All right, Ben, we got a viewer question come in from our guy, Maxime Nelaton, all the way in France. Max, what's up, man? I hope you're doing well. You got to get a profile picture. We can't rock with the stick figure over here. But here's your question then. Did you need a small period of time where you had to adapt from the college to the pros in terms of rules, concepts, terminology, organization, etc.?
Yeah, I had to catch on to terminology. Luckily, it didn't take long. The Rockets terminology I felt like was real intuitive, and Brazi was great at teaching it to our players. So I just kind of picked it up as he was teaching our players. I didn't even start working on RGB until like 2 days before training camp, so I didn't get like a head start or anything. But it was all intuitive. It all made sense. I picked it up fairly quickly. But of course, then I went to Chicago, and you have to learn a whole new set of terminology. And I really value terminology. I pay a lot of attention to that. I think you got to be real clean and organized with that kind of stuff if you're going to be effective teaching your players. So there was a little adjustment, but it wasn't anything crazy.
Great question, Max. All right, so you touched on it at the beginning, but obviously there's no bubble for the G League, and so your guys' season just kind of got cut. So what has life been like? Obviously, and I want to talk also about like your new kind of business venture as well. But what does the last few months look like for you?
Man, Brandon loves to give me a hard time about this, but when the season shut down, I was like, oh, I got a couple weeks free. I'll go visit my girlfriend in Colorado. And so I packed like 7 T-shirts and 4 pairs of shorts and like 2 pairs of pants. And I've been staying in Colorado ever since. I still got the same limited wardrobe out here. But it's been trying to stay productive. Like, how can I keep growing? I don't really want to hassle the Bull staff or anything like that because I know they've got a million things to worry about. But there's only so many people allowed in the gym right now for the non-bubble teams. So I'm aching to get back to Chicago and get in the gym with those guys. But there's only like 10 coaches allowed in the gym, so I can't yet. Been trying to stay busy. Like you said, kind of got a new side business. I decided to take some stuff I've worked on in the past, some tools that I made, worksheets that I've used in my own kind of day-to-day workflow during the season, and make those available to other people for a fairly affordable price. Calculating some analytics. One just calculates 4 factors. It's real simple. And the other helps with play call efficiency. And play call efficiency is always something that I've valued. Kind of started or strengthened that thought as I was in RGV, where Houston is very offense heavy, very analytics heavy. So I just want to know what we run and is it efficient, and what's working for us and what's not. So I built this tool to help us out in Windy City, and now I've made it available for people to purchase. My company is called Benjamin Sanders Basketball, or it's also bshoopsanalytics.com. If anybody wants to check it out, I appreciate the support. It's kind of a slow moving to start, but I've had a couple clients, and I'm gonna start trying to build that up here pretty soon and see if I can't help out with a little income while we're stuck in a pandemic.
Yeah, and I'm putting the website across the bottom here. If I can figure out how to do this. There it is right there, right? Did I spell that right?
Yep, that's big time. Appreciate that.
Go check it out. It is an unbelievable resource and tool, and it is like crazy affordable. You really should charge more, but I get you.
No, I'm planning on it in the future. I'd say things are kind of in beta right now. I'll bump the prices in the future and add more tools down the line as well. But
get it while it's hot.
Yeah, get it. It's super cheap this season, so
yeah,
take advantage of it.
By the way, if you hear banging in the background, That's Oliver, my 2-year-old. And I'll give you. I know you don't have kids, Ben, but a quick parenting hack that we just discovered. So Oliver's 2, and we got a cardboard box. We got a bunch of golf tees, and he's got this little plastic hammer. And we showed him how to like hammer in the golf tees like nails.
That's nice.
Keeps him busy for like he loves that thing. So
I have 6 nieces, and a couple of them are still young enough. They might be able to use that. I might throw that at my brother's way.
Yeah, do it. All right, we had another question come in. This is from Rising Coaches. This is probably Brandon. He wants to know some of your favorite Rising Coaches stories and also favorite members. I think Brandon's just fishing for compliments.
Brandon's definitely fishing. Like, that's fair. Like Brandon should be doing that. I think Brandon's helped me definitely with one job. Probably helped me a little bit with RGV as well. But he helped me get on at New Mexico, and it was the summer after we were fired at Rice. I was bouncing around working camps all over. Brian Eskelson was back at Stanford for a hot second, so I was like, I'm gonna go out there and work Stanford camp. And I hit up Brandon and was like, hey, can I work your Santa Clara camp? And he was like, absolutely. And that was great for building my relationship with Brandon. And then like a week later, he hit me up and he's like, you still looking for a job? I said, yeah. And he goes, all right, you're going to get a call tomorrow. I was like, from who? And he goes, it's from a Mountain West team. That's all I can tell you. And I was like, please be San Diego State. I would love to live in San Diego. That'd be fantastic. Ended up being
extra and protective of information, so I could totally see that.
It ended up being New Mexico, and it was because Lamont Smith called Sam Scholl. I think that's how it went, and was like, hey, we need a video guy. And Brandon was like, well, Ben was here last week. He needs a job. So I was in New Mexico a week later, literally 1 week. I was pulled into Albuquerque, and so that was great. So Brandon's up there, I guess. He's an okay guy. Jimmy's all right, I suppose. TJ, he's cool. Obviously, Josh Krybick is a big one for me. He's probably my.
You don't say that just because he's your boss.
Well, he's one of my best friends. He is maybe my best friend in the business. These 2 years we've gotten real close. One, because he's my boss, but I don't think he would end up being my boss if he weren't one of my really good friends in the business. So it's kind of a, which came first, chicken or the egg type deal. But man, there's no shortage of people I love in this organization. Like, we sit here and we talk about, we got great clinics and we got great conferences and I love the retreat. But like all that's secondary to the relationships I've built in this organization. And this pandemic, like it's been a different deal as well. Like I think you guys have done a great job of giving people resources and opportunities to build relationships. I'm at that weird spot in my career where I don't necessarily feel like I've made it exactly. But I have gotten to a point where younger coaches will reach out to me and ask for advice, and I've had a lot of guys do that that I might not have otherwise, right? And I was so thankful for the guys who helped me come up in this business, and so I want to be sure to be accessible for the young coaches too, who are coming up, need advice, want to try and navigate the business. And so that's all, that's credit to you guys. Like you guys are doing an incredible job of helping grow this thing and expand this network. And I think you're doing a big service to the basketball community. So props to you guys.
Well, appreciate it, Ben. All right, before we let you go, let's keep pulling on that thread. What is some of the best advice that you give to people, or maybe the best lessons you've learned throughout your time in coaching?
So, you mentioned that summer after we got fired at New Mexico and how I was looking for a job. The biggest thing I learned that summer, because I was everywhere. I went Summer League. I went to Peach Jam, like Great American Shootout in Dallas, Vegas, Garg's Camp. I was everywhere I could possibly be. And I think so many times, like, job opportunities come down to being at the right place at the right time. And in order to be at the right place at the right time, it really helps to be at a lot of places at a lot of times. Like just be around the game, right? And so that summer, I had a handful, maybe 3 or 4 job offers that summer, whether it was JUCOs or D1 video jobs, all that kind of stuff that I was able to turn down. And it was because somebody hits their friend and says, hey, I need a video guy. And they're like, well, I was hanging out with Ben all last week, right? Or, oh, I just got off the phone with Ben a couple of days ago, or whatever the case may be. So it's be at a lot of places at a lot of times will help you be at the right place at the right time. And then my kind of personal motto in this business is, and maybe in life, is just do 2 things. If you can do 2 things really, really well, you'll be all right. And that's work really hard and treat people really well. Right. And so we're constantly learning like what hard work looks like. It looks different for everybody. The longer you're in this business, the more you understand what hard work really is. But when it comes to treating people right, like just be genuine. Like you don't have to be a kiss ass, right? But just be real genuine. Treat people really well. Care about other success. Don't be quick to judge anybody or jump on anybody or criticize anybody. Value your players, lift them up, like take care of them, make them. If you're a college coach, like your goal should be to make sure your players are employable when they graduate or when they leave your program. And if you're a professional coach, you leave your players' careers in a better position than when you found them. And I think if you do those things, like it'll work itself out. And I think helping people, going back to my Rice days, giving scouting reports to people when they ask, or giving film to people when they ask, just because they ask, help. It's kind of paying it forward, and ultimately that's how it comes back around to people helping you.
Absolutely, great stuff, Ben. We just had another comment come in, and it's a plug for your business.
Oh, David, big time. He's my very first customer. I'll never forget it. He might get a discount for life for that.
There you go. You heard it first, David. Hold him to it. Discount for life. All right, I'm going to flash it on the screen one more time. bshoopsanalytics.com. Check it out. It's a great resource and tool. Ben, it's been fun catching up, man. It's always fun chopping it up with you, but it's fun to do it in a public forum where we can give you some love. Yeah,
I appreciate you having me, man. I'm looking forward to seeing what Brandon and Jimmy and everybody said in the group text right here, because I
know my phone's been buzzing.
They're probably destroying both of us right now, but
no doubt.
It's always good hanging out, Adam. I appreciate talking to you, and I'll talk to you soon, man.
Thanks, Ben.
All right, thank you.